Welcome to Triumph IAS. It's a daily mains practice question and answer series. This program is exclusively designed for UPSC CSE aspirants. In this video discussion, we will discuss UPSC CSE mains previous 25-year questions. Question number 1. What are the consequences of spreading of dead zones on marine ecosystem? Let's start with the introduction of the answer. Dead zones are hypoxic, low oxygen areas in the world's oceans and larger lakes. Aquatic and marine dead zones can be caused by the process of eutrophication, triggered by an excess of plant nutrients, nitrogen and phosphorus, from fertilizers, sewage, combustion emissions from vehicles and factories. The main body of the answer should be number 1. The nutrients trigger a bloom of phytoplankton at the bottom of the marine food chain, allowing zooplankton to proliferate. As phytoplankton and zooplankton die and sink below the photic zone where photosynthesis can occur, a bloom of natural bacterial degradation exhausts the water's dissolved oxygen. Number 2. Dead zones have spread exponentially since the 1960s and have serious consequences for marine ecosystem functioning. Low oxygen levels recorded along the Gulf Coast of North America have led to reproductive problems in fish involving decreased size of reproductive organs, low egg counts, and lack of spawning. Number 3. The algae overgrowth blocks the sunlight, which hampers the photosynthesis. Lack of sunlight can also lead to death of species in the littoral zones. Conclusion of the answer is: dead zones have now been reported from more than 400 systems, affecting a significant proportion of marine ecosystem and are probably a key stressor on marine ecosystems. Question number 2. National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, in India can be most effective when its tasks are adequately supported by other mechanisms that ensure the accountability of a government. In light of the above observation, assess the role of NHRC as an effective complement to the judiciary and other institutions in promoting and protecting human rights standards. Let's start with the introduction of the answer. National Human Rights Commission is the watchdog of human rights in India. NHRC was supposed to protect the constitution rights and rights embodied in the international covenants and enforceable by courts of India. The main body of the answer should be number 1. It was formed in early 1990s after India signed the UN Convention on Protection of Human Rights. Number 2. However, despite the great value that the Indian democracy attaches to human rights, the NHRC has played a weaker role in ensuring the protections of rights of people. There are many factors that have led to ineffectiveness of National Human Rights Commission in the recent times. Number 1. Non-cooperation from state agencies and concern and covertly denial or delay makes the proceeding ineffective. Number 2. In many cases, the local state machinery fails to provide adequate manpower or assistance for investigation due to political influence, or the information provided is biased or influenced. Number 3. Even after the recommendations of NHRC, public authority fails to take appropriate action, which causes downfall of status of NHRC. Number 4. However, despite of all its inherent weakness, NHRC is still an effective tool to ensure that the violators of human rights are brought to book. Conclusion of the answer is: some of the recent achievements of NHRC are abolition of bonded labor, abolition of child labor, rights of victims of sexual offences, addressing the rights issues of TRNBILs and disabled people, etc. Question number 3. What are the major reasons for declining rice and wheat yield in the cropping system? How crop diversification is helpful to stabilize the yield of the crop in the system? Let's start with the introduction of the answer. Rice and wheat cropping system of the India is labor, water, capital and energy intensive and become less profitable as the availability of these resources diminished. The main body of the answer should be number 1. India's per hectare yield is low when compared to countries like Bangladesh, Vietnam and China and Indonesia, which are also major rice-producing regions. Number 2. Reasons for declining rice and wheat yield. Rice is a water-intensive crop which requires a huge amount of water for a longer period. Number 3. Declining groundwater level and irregular monsoon is one of the reasons behind declining yield. In certain regions, farmers are moving more towards the cash crops, because of which the area under cultivation of rice and wheat has declined in those regions. Number 4. Decline in soil fertility because of soil erosion led by deforestation and unscientific agricultural practices. Most of the farmers in India are marginal landholders, which is economically not viable. Number 5. Overuse of fertilizers and pesticides in certain pockets have resulted in soil degradation and low productivity in the long run. Number 6. How crop diversity is helpful in stabilizing the yield. Judicial crop diversification should be applied based on suitability of the crop with the region. Number 7. Water-intensive crops must not be grown in water-deficient or rain-fed regions. It will lead to higher yield and minimal possibility of crop failure. Number 8. Crop diversification also helps in maintaining the fertility of the soil without ill impact on the soil quality and lesser dependence on fertilizers. Conclusion of the answer is: crop rotation along with mixed pattern of cropping provides higher yield and also safeguard the crop against any natural calamities pests, thus an economical advantage to the farmers.